Edward. What's up, Edward?
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Yeah.
All right. No, go ahead.
Now, how are you guys doing?
You're doing good, man. What time is it where you're at?
That's good. It's 6 p.m. in China from Guangzhou. This is where I'm calling from. Yeah.
Good deal. All right. Yeah, we'll have introductions and stuff later. I want to just kind of hop into the good stuff so we can get rolling here, but I'm going to mute everybody for those that are just coming on. And then as you have questions, you can unmute yourself or pop a question in the chat. And then I can kind of stop, but I am going to go through the new features and just kind of give everybody a crash course real quick. And then I'll stop after that and we can go over if you guys have any specific questions or ideas, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Share and you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Figure out how to use Zoom here a minute. Show small active. Stop share. Mute. How do I mute everybody? Stop share. Maybe I have to mute everybody before I share. Yeah, it looks like I do. Mute all. Yes. Share screen. All right. All right, cool. All right, so this is the newest version. I'm going to update this today in the members area so you guys have access to it, but it's got quite a few new features that I haven't covered or not in any of the other. Well, I've only made 2 training videos so far and they've just been kind of feature overviews, but before I get into the new features, I did want to, because I know there's some people on here that have either used Apex or they haven't used AdTactix at all or Apex at all. So I want to give you just a really quick crash course on how to actually get your bids set up to start optimizing. So what I've got, the state that it's in right now is actually kind of a as optimized state, and it's already been set up. And I'm pretending right now that I want to optimize my bids again, so maybe for the second time. And the process there is you'll have already had your bulk sheet and potentially your search term summary, search term brand summary reports in here, and you need to remove those to start over. So with each kind of optimization sequence, you're gonna download a new bulk file with a new date range, import it along with your search term summary reports. And if you want to update like some of your supplemental reports that can be used for the AdTactix dashboard, brand analytics, search term impression share reports, stuff like that, you download those a new time. So I won't cover like actually downloading those. That would take a while, but that's in the training video on the members area. But in order to actually just delete these and get started with a new sequence, there is a new button. So you just come up here, you click delete, use sheets reset, and that's going to actually remove all of these. You'll see they'll disappear here. It'll actually clear out your bulk negate screen. And it's just kind of starting from scratch. So the next step is you would come up here. This button here takes you to download your new bulk file. I've already got a test one I'm just going to import here in a second. This one here, the step 2, that's going to open you to Seller Central. You already need to be logged into Seller Central for that to open automatically. And if for some reason it doesn't open automatically, go up here to the URL bar and there'll be like a pop-up blocker. You need to turn that off and then redo it. Actually, let me, how do I move all shift? Can you guys hear me? Can you like shake your head if you can hear me? Okay. Make sure I'm not talking to myself for like an hour. All right, cool. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so with that, it would open you to Seller Central. You download the files and you name them a special way. So again, there's the training in the members area. There's also SOPs. So if you click on that little info button, it's going to expand out an SOP that you can read and kind of work alongside while you're doing the task. And I'm going to be adding to these. You can also click on this button here. Sometimes it takes a minute to populate, but it gives you kind of a better view. And I've got those set up already for most of these, so you can kind of go through that and learn things a lot quicker. At any rate, so I'm just going to do a little demo here of how to import the data. So let's pretend that I have all of these already saved, which I believe I do. So now you would come up here, auto import supplemental data. I don't have right now the helium-10 rank files checked, but that's an additional report you can pull in if you want to use the AdTactix dashboard and update your historical ASIN reports that you can track in helium-10. That just allows you to kind of import those on a periodic basis. So right now it's just bringing in the data. And then you'll get a finished script up there at the top, which we just got. That's how you know it's done. I'll probably add some prompts and stuff too. That's kind of the last step. You'll also get this import status that shows you if everything's been imported correctly. Usually the error, if you're going to have one, it's going to be you didn't name the file right, or you somehow jacked up the format when you saved it. There's a couple different ways you can mess that up. So just watch the SOP there and it spells it out. The next step is importing your bulk file. So we're just going to do a file import, and I like to either save mine in the export files folder, which gets created automatically when you authorize your copy, or I just make a dummy kind of file folder that for all my bulk sheets. And we'll just do test bulk file, insert new sheet. Now, if you've got a massive file with like 400,000 rows or something, Google Sheets can't support that. Unfortunately, right now we are working on an Excel version that will easily support it. But what you can do, what most bigger brands do right now, is they'll split and have multiple copies of AdTactix. And then we've got a Excel splitter tool that we're almost done with. We're testing it right now. That'll allow you to like import a massive bulk file into Excel. You have to have like Excel 365, which is only like $6 a month. But it allows you to import that and then export it, and it basically creates, you know, however many separate smaller bulk files that you want, and then you can import those. So that's a way to use it right now if you do have big brands. But all right, so once you have that data imported like we just did, all you're going to do, come up here, sync all data, and this is going to take in the new bulk file information in conjunction with our search term summary reports and some of the other data in the background, and just real quickly get it kind of prepped. If you're used to Apex, this used to take forever, and there were like 2 or 3 steps you had to do. So that was one big improvement with starting from scratch. We were able to kind of redo everything and make it a lot easier to use. So sync complete. You don't have to onboard or do anything like that. All your SKUs and ASINs are right here, which is really nice. What that script just did is it prepped each of these campaign files, and it's got some hidden columns here that help to allow some of these filters and stuff like that, but you don't really need to know any of that. There are a few columns that got created that are really helpful. So like this ASINs column, if you have multi-ASIN campaigns, they're going to show up like this with like a space in between. Some of this stuff here is test data, so it's not going to really make a whole lot of sense, but like these will be different ASINs in your file, for example. But and then this one over here, the keyword count, that tells you how many active keywords. So active meaning your campaign ad group and the keyword level are enabled. So that shows you like if you have just one keyword active, you may have like a multi-keyword campaign, but only one of them is active, like in this example, and the rest are paused. So you could almost consider that like a single keyword campaign. So that's a helpful filter just to kind of know that it's there, and we use it for a few other lookups and stuff like that. But all right, so as far as actually getting your bids set up to optimize, what you'll do is just use this bid override table, and this is a new kind of optimized bid override table if you're used to Apex. So when you first come to it, it's going to basically just look like this. Right. You can see that. Yeah, it's there. All right. So one new feature that we just added is the ability to either do ASIN or monitor ASIN. So if you want to be really lazy and just set bid setting criteria at the ASIN level, you can hop back to settings tab and just get your ASIN list here. Hit Control-C to copy it, go to your bid override table. You'll paste it right here by hitting Control-Shift-V, and that just pastes the values. The red means that there's duplicate ASINs. You probably have FBA and FBA. So you just go up to data, clean up, remove duplicates, remove duplicates, and that's gonna just give you one instance. Now you do want to change this to ASIN if you actually want to use it to bid and set your bid settings. The other one is just for monitoring if you want to have other overrides on here along with seeing kind of how each ASIN is performing. Now, one key point is this only applies to single ASIN campaigns. And what I mean by that is you don't have, ASIN 1, ASIN 2, ASIN 3 in a campaign. And that's really the preferred structure. If you can set up your campaigns in that manner, you don't have to have them that way. It's just you wouldn't be able to use the bid setting options for the ASIN if you had a bunch of multi-ASIN campaigns. They wouldn't apply. It would fall back in that situation to this account level row, which these are this row here will govern basically anything that doesn't have an override applied. And when I say override, I'm talking you can have ASIN override, portfolio override, campaign level override, or target override. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'm a perfectionist, so you have to deal with me on my formatting stuff there. All right, so anytime you add a override to the bid override table, hit this sync button here, and it'll take a second. It's going to update kind of all the metrics and populate the data. Yellow means you haven't assigned any bid input settings yet. So I am going to come out with kind of like an easy button to populate better starting points, but you can do that. I just hit Control-Shift-V to paste down the account level data, but here's your target ACoS column. I've got another video I'll pop in the AdTactix section where the videos are that kind of goes over the Apex formula. It's from Apex, but it's pretty much the exact same thing. But yeah, you want to start with some initial bid input settings. And if you have some target level overrides, which to get those, I'll hop back over to sponsored products campaigns. And now since we've set this up and initialized it, we can go and click like enabled targets. And this is going to sort this. It's going to filter out anything that's paused or archived, and it's going to sort it by orders. So now you can see, excuse me, over the past, whatever, if this is 30 days, we've got about 1,800 orders. So you can do kind of a Pareto analysis, or you can just kind of look at it and say, yeah, I want to put overrides on 10 or more. So if I do something like this, back over here, point I'm trying to show here is you can do different levels of override. So in this case, this is a target level override. And what I did there is I just grabbed column A, which if you look, it says target override. That's what that means. That's a unique identifier for that campaign ad group, keyword, match type, whatever. So that's how you can pick that off. Another nice thing about this versus Apex is you can add, sponsor brand, sponsor display on the same bid override table. And I'll show you really quick what happens there. Let's just grab one here. Yeah, it's got 13 orders, so right? And we'll come up here, hit that. I'm working kind of on the performance of this script right here. It has to unfilter all three of these sheets every time it runs that. So there's some ways I can speed that up. But see how this says SB now, and this says SP. So it actually tracks. And if you have if you're doing portfolio level overrides, it will actually show you if the portfolio is in multiple ad types. It'll have like a vertical bar. So it'll be SP bar, SB. So if you see that, that's kind of, it means it's showing up in multiple places. All right, but what you'll do now is assign these. You can see some other fields have populated as well, since it's target level overrides as opposed to the ASIN. While I'm doing this is I wanted to illustrate the hierarchy. So what's going on is we have target level overrides right now along with ASIN level overrides. And what this is saying is it's going to first, it's going to look at the bidding put criteria for any target level overrides, which right now we have it all set to the same. But the idea is if your top performing targets are obviously top performing, you want to bid more aggressive potentially. So that this allows you to segment that out, tweak the variables here. And then the next order of precedent would be if you had any campaign level overrides, and then you could have portfolio. So like if you want to put all your, I don't know, defensive targeting ASIN campaigns or something like that in a portfolio, you could set criteria just for those types of campaigns. And then you add the portfolio name in AdTactix. So I've got up here what you specify. I need to add in the ASIN details, but you can see how you do that right there. And then once you have that, the ASIN is the next lowest level. And then after that, it falls back to this account level row. So I mentioned that earlier, but that's just kind of the precedent settings there. Once you've detailed all that out, all you need to do now is use these kind of 3 steps to create your final output files. So up till now, we've imported our buck file, we've initialized it, we've figured out our kind of top performing targets, put those on here as target level overrides. We've assigned some ASIN level bid settings as kind of a fallback. And now we can optimize our bids. Before we do that though, one thing you can do is use this new bid preview button. If you're not quite sure if you have the bid settings kind of where you want them. And you'll see here we've also added a placement preview. That's this checkbox. If you deselect that and click the preview, it'll just show you the new bid. So what it's doing, it's taking the original bid, which is in red. It's taking your bid input settings, which is over here. And again, you'll have to watch the video to really get a full understanding of how this formula works. There's also 3 other formulas you could potentially use. But it's taking those variables, excuse me, along with, if you have a grouped, like in this case, the ASIN override, excuse me, it's going to take the target level metrics of obviously all the keywords in that that apply to that ASIN, in your files. So it's not like it's somehow just assigning all of these one value. You can do that if you want. That's what this blue column is for. So if you wanted to, one second, if you wanted to assign, say, for example, you got a single keyword campaign that you've just launched and you want to make sure it's at a certain value the entire time, you can set that here, and that'll actually take precedent over any of the formulas. So I guess that's an important point to bring up as well. You've also got all your placement level metrics, and this can be a little confusing depending on what you're looking at, because here I've got ASINs and we've actually got that data that we've compiled here, but it's going to be different potentially than your target, because all the placement metrics are at the campaign level. So it's a little bit confusing. This data right here is just kind of applicable for a reference standpoint. You can see which of your ASINs are performing better at top of search first product pages. There's also a pretty sophisticated audit feature, which we'll show that later as well. But I guess know that that's there. That can help you with assigning placement modifier percentages here. Anything that's underlined, like your campaign budget, placement modifiers, are inline editable. Granted, excuse me, there is a bug right now I need to fix. I saw Ben, you pointed that out. But that's in this fine tuning section. You can tweak those numbers, come up here and hit this, and it's going to actually hop over your sponsored product sheet and modify those for you. So it's just more user friendly. But these are kind of the main things I wanted to cover in this screen. Now there is some other columns here, like you've got all your more details. It gives you kind of your campaign information. You've got Target Sniper. That's a whole nother animal. I'm not going to cover that in this one, but that's a super powerful feature. We've added 60 days instead of 20, which Apex had. The organic sales tacos. So one feature that we just added, you can go over to the labs tab and bring in a business report. Let me see if I have one. Format, import, S files, 60-day. Let's see what this does. Place date at selected cell. Okay, yeah, you can see this business report's kind of a dummy one, but you will have all this data filled in. This, you just download this from Seller Central Business Reports. I think it's the child ASIN report. But once you have that, you can actually, I'd have to resync it, but it'll pull in your organic sales tacos, and there's a bunch of custom blank ones here that we can add as we have ideas, but that can be helpful as well as just assigning your bid inputs. But anyway, the biggest thing that I see users, the biggest mistake I see them make is when they first set up their bid input settings, they don't actually look and see, here's my current cost per click. They don't assess kind of where their placements are performing the best. And then they set some arbitrary settings here, specifically their target A costs and the up bid. This one applies, this setting here applies for any keyword target that's doing really well that you want to kind of give more ammo to. So I just recommend using this new bid preview along with messing around with these input settings and watching the Apex formula video before you optimize your first file, because what you'll end up doing is for targets that are actually doing well, you'll bid too conservative. Yeah, it'll lower your A cost, but also lower your impressions and your potential sales. So you want to almost get started with, for the first couple of weeks, setting your criteria where it's giving you the same or close to bid that you're currently running at until you start to learn how to use the system really well. You can also see like this missing bid. What happens there, and this is something I need to put in the new training. What happens there is if you set up campaigns and use the default ad group, you won't have a target level bid. It'll just have this ad group level bid. So there's actually a button here that says show missing bids. You can always click this and it'll show you all the active keyword targets that don't have a target level bid assigned to them. And what I'm going to put in the training is like the first step when your very first bulk file, what you should do is click this button and then just copy over the ad group level bid to this bid column. And that'll give you a target level bid for when you upload that first file. So the next time you download it, you won't have any missing bids. But until then, it's always going to default back to your ad group bid. And AdTactix is not going to optimize those bids if that's the scenario. So you always want to have that bid in there to start with. But that's a quick way you can kind of to get it set up. Anyway, once you have all your bid override table how you want it, the way to actually change your bids is really easy. You can do them all three at once, or you can come up here, optimize bid, sponsored products, Apex formula, hit yes, and you'll see it's going to populate in AF the new bid, which just did. Get some water here. And at this point, you can actually create your final output file if you don't want to double check anything. There are some slick ways to double check. You can click this review bids. It's going to kick out another column here, and I think it actually sorts it from highest to lowest. So you can see a negative. That means it dropped the bid from 309 to 102. One thing with the Apex formula that's important to know is it actually factors in your cost per click, not your previous bid. So that's an important variable in the formula. There's some other formulas as well. I mentioned earlier, if you go to optimize bid, change bid setting layout, you can use these other ones. So revenue per click times target A cost, that's like the one that all the SaaS tools use as a base formula. There's also this one, Fabian. I think you were the one that actually recommended I put this in here. So that's an interesting one that I've seen some other places use as well. And then an iterative is a more involved one. I'm not going to go over those in this video, but you basically just hop over here, change this to whichever of the 4 you want. We can add more too if you guys have ones that you like that are not in here. And then what it does is it changes the layout here. Actually 3 of the 4 actually use the same layout, but the iterative one has a new section that'll show up, and you make that show up just by coming up to that and hitting the change bid setting layout button. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, once you've gotten your files where you've changed this column in all 3 of them, and there is a optimize all as well, so that'll change all 3 at once, kind of in series. Then you're ready to export it to your Google Drive, and the Google Drive folder, it's going to always get saved to this FBA Excel export files folder right there. So that's where it's going to go automatically. And that folder gets created when you authorize the sheet. So you don't need to worry about that. But one thing you do need to worry about, if you have any campaign level negations in your sponsored products file, or drafts and negatives in your sponsored brands file, you do have to remove those. Bulk Sheets doesn't support them. But you can click this button as just kind of a step 1 before you create your final output file, and it'll remove those. So I'm not going to do that here, but that's kind of the process. And then you just create your final output files by clicking these buttons here, or you can click the export all, and it's going to generate 3 files simultaneously in that folder that you would then upload back to Amazon. So again, if you get stuck, you can click on this, and it's going to have kind of a SOP you can follow that pretty much covers everything I just did and talked about. It even goes over kind of the bid precedents and stuff like that. You'll click this button up here to actually read it, or you can scroll over. This just helps you follow along if you don't want to have 2 windows side by side. All right, so let's see, 30 minutes. I'm going to take 10 minutes here and just go over the new AdTactix dashboard stuff. So all right, so this section here I'm working on, so it's all boogered up right now, but I will be able to illustrate the new sponsor brands display section. So the purpose of this tab is basically to organize all your keywords and track a bunch of things like search query performance report, which is the new Amazon data. That's the section here. You've got keyword dominator, which is one of our keyword research tools. You can import special exports from that and get all that keyword data in here. You got your brand analytics, search term impression share information. Here's the keyword harvesting kind of module. So since we've prepped our search term summary for sponsored products and brands, you can essentially now set the criteria here and go up to search terms, filter search term reports. Usually you'll probably just have a default setting that you kind of like. You always want to see if there's any new keywords. And this will, it's in a second, it's actually pulling in all the data, hit OK. So it'll get a finished script. So now you can go over to your search term report, and it's going to pre-filter any of that information. You can obviously unfilter this at this point, or if you want to filter it even further. But then you're going to select any of the search terms that you want to push over to the AdTactix dashboard just by going there, and then search term, push to AdTactix. That script there is going to move. I think I already have them on here, so I'm not going to do it, but it's going to move all of those over, which ST, that means search term, over to here. And then it's also going to pull in, your current sponsored products data from your ads. your sponsored brands data. So you can see this one showed up in sponsored brands as well, and sponsored display in this section. And then over here to the far right, it gives you a combined total of all three ad types. So the next set of features that we're working on is we've got the sponsored products campaign builder built, where you can actually use this dashboard in conjunction with the bulk campaign creation tool, which is here. So let me illustrate that. I actually haven't tested this, so if it fails, then cool. So what you would do is you have to, the right way to do this is actually click this button first. This puts a filter around the table if there's not one. And actually, yeah, that script's just deleted that. All right, so puts a filter around it, and then what you should do is filter and do one ASIN at a time. And so let's pretend that I want to, right now, this active check, it tells me if I'm currently targeting this keyword in my sponsored products. And you've also got this now in sponsored brands and sponsored display. Actually, you got video, headline search ads, and your sponsored display. That would just be for ASIN there, but anyway, how this feature works is, let me actually just do it down here. You're going to check any of the ones that you want to add. So like, let's say we want to do single keyword exacts like this. You need a unique number. If I put like a 1 and a 1, it would put both of these keywords in the same campaign. But I'm going to make single keyword exact campaigns here. So I'm just going to something like that. And let's say also at the same time, I want to put it in a, I don't know, too broad. So I would just do that. All right. And theoretically, this should work, but I haven't tested it. Let's create PPC campaigns. All right, so yeah, this is new. So we've just added the ability to update existing campaigns, and I'll have to create a new training video. I haven't tested it at all yet. It's literally brand new. But the old way of creating new campaigns, you just click 1, hit OK. And it looks like it's working. I see a couple formatting. All right. So what that did, you can see here, you've got the multi-keyword broad that we created. You got the single keyword campaigns. We've also got a custom naming tool. So if you go back to the settings tab, I'm not going to go over in this video, but it's pretty self-explanatory. The gray fields are inputs you can set. You got delimiters. There's a single keyword campaign mode. So I'll leave that enabled for this. We're just going to show you how that works. So you're going to actually go here at this point. We've already added campaigns. You could add more manually at this point if you wanted, but hit update custom names, and it should swap out the yeah. It shouldn't be red though. I've got a little issue there. So fix that. But anyway, it swapped out the SKU and ASIN, stuff like that. You can tweak things at this point if you want. You can add some negatives. There's quite a few different things you can do. I'm not going to go over that right now, but now what you would do is create your upload file by clicking that. All right, and it blows out the campaign file. This one here had all those keywords. There's what it's doing there is, because I had single keyword campaign mode enabled, it actually filled in all of the keywords in the campaign name. You'd get an error if in bulk sheets if you try to upload that. They've got a character count, but Anyway, that's the process there. And then same way we created our bulk file, you can export that to Google Drive and then upload it in the bulk manager, and it'll create those campaigns for you. We've got down here a new section for adding to existing campaigns. Like I said, I'm going to have to make a follow-up video on how to use this because it's still fine-tuning the process too. One of the features that I think Sumner put in was a better way to migrate terms. And I agree, it's not ideal the way I have it set up right now. I think I need a way from this search term summary reports to, update. If you want to add keywords to existing campaigns, you can easily do it from this page, as well as like bulk negate the keyword in your original campaigns. You can do that pretty easily with the bulk negate tool. I won't cover that in this video, but there's a way you can, from your sponsored products or brands, you can push, well, here, I'll just do a quick demo. So you're going to go sponsored products, and you've got your Stoptimizer limits. This is the way to bulk negate, usually research campaign search terms from your search term report. So these are like the bleeders that in your broad or phrase that aren't relevant. To do that, you've got this setting criteria there on the settings tab, but you come up here and just hit run Stoptimizer, and it should unfilter this sheet. It's going to throw a filter there in the currency column. It's not really useful. But you can see these have like spin thresholds that are getting hit. There's no orders. There's an impression and click-through rate setting as well here. Basically, it's everything that Amazon really doesn't like. So bad click-through rate with a high impression, spin threshold, click threshold. Any three of those that it hits based on your input settings, it's going to flag. And then what you do is go back to your search term report. Same thing with these check boxes. And then you push that by clicking that over to your file here. Oh crap, you know what? I had all those that we pushed over to the AdTactix dashboard selected. So that's why I pushed over way more. But I'll have to clear those, I think, before we run that. But now you would assign your negate type. So anything that's like an ASIN, like here, you want to make that like this. And once that's done, you create your negative upload file. Existing data. All right, and there was a bug in this step right here, but it's been fixed. So it was pulling in the wrong match type, but now you can see it's pulling in the right match type. So from there, you can just upload or export that to Google Drive and then upload it same way as we have the other sheets. All right, so I think that's the main. I've rambled enough. Give you guys 15 minutes to ask questions. Bid optimization, reset, yeah. All right. The only other thing is this feature tracker here. I'm going to try to keep this up to date at least once a week, and you can kind of see my order of things I'm working on. The green is either important bugs that needs fixed or really, really good ideas. And then the blue is kind of on deck, but you're welcome to put your name in here and any ideas or bugs you come across, and then I can definitely take a look at it. I probably won't cover in these calls anything major as far as things that I've fixed. You'll just be able to track along and see if it's been fixed yet. So, all right, let me figure out how to get you guys back up here. Stop share. I guess you guys are all muted somehow. Mute all. I guess you can unmute yourself if you have a question. I can't figure out how to unmute everybody. Anybody have any questions? Drinking from a fire hose?
There are some questions in the chat.
Oh shit, I should have been probably following along with
No.
that.
You
Skew
can
okay,
repeat it if you
let
want.
me just run down through these real quick. Skew dashboard from Apex is replaced by putting ASINs. That's right. How do you monitor campaigns on the bid override table? How do you track search terms in the bid override table? Okay. So campaigns in the bid override table. Let's see, mute all. Not anybody. Share my screen. I keep the chat open. That's what I really want to do. You might know how to keep the chat open while I'm sharing my screen. All right. So learn how to use this better. Oh, that's kind of helpful. Weird, it doesn't let me see the chat. Oh, I see. Oh wait, here we go. Ah, shit. All right, that's way better. All right, so to move campaign or track campaigns, whatever, you'd come back here. So if you go to optimize PPC, clear all filters, whichever active sheet you're on, that's gonna actually clear that sheet and kind of reset it back to the original sort and order. And then the entity column over here, if you just want to see campaigns, you can clear that, hit campaign. This will show you all of the campaigns, in your sheet. So you've got enabled potentially, but you've also got paused. So if you wanted to just see your enabled, you would need to do one more filter like that. But then let's say you can sort this Z to A. Let's say you just want to find your best campaigns and set campaign level overrides where you can kind of track that and bid at those. You can do a similar thing with like the Pareto analysis, or if you just got a couple main campaigns that are carrying your account, you would copy the campaign name. And for the fun of this, I'm going to delete these so I don't confuse everybody. Change this to campaign. Or anytime you add an override, you need to sync that, and it'll pull in the metrics at that level. All right, and then if you set your settings now, it's going to use these the bid input settings for all of the targets that are in these campaigns. So that's how you're kind of like segmenting your bid settings. So if you want to bid more aggressive in just those campaigns, this is how you would do it. And you would change this to whatever. I'm okay with a 35% ACoS on these, and then now you're not going to be able to see the bid previews on these because it's not a target level override. So you've got to, you could always go and click the optimize button here, hop over to those campaigns, and you can see how it's changed. But yeah, it's not changing like all the keywords in these campaigns to like one bid. It's using the target level metrics for every keyword in these campaigns in conjunction with these input settings to set unique optimized bids for each target. Does that make sense? All right. So how do you track search terms in the bid override table? You don't track, basically the bid override table is only going to care about the targets that are in your 3 sheets. If you want to track search terms or keywords, you can kind of do both of those on the AdTactix dashboard. That's really the point of it. So you see keywords, search terms, ASINs. You're basically aggregating any search term from your search term reports or potential keywords from keyword tools. You can manually add your own keywords in here. And then you can update this in order to see really quickly how the metrics from the various Seller Central reports in your current ad type ads, and if they're active, how those how those are showing up. One thing I didn't show is this audit for the sponsored products. It is working right now. So if you click that button right there, it's going to unfilter your sponsored product sheet. And then it's going to give you a really detailed audit of your placements and broken out by match type, including single keyword campaigns. So that's what exact SKW means. So as you're building out new campaigns, that's another really important feature of this sheet, is you can use the tag, the notes to kind of say, okay, here's my next set of keywords that I want to launch that have a really high potential of me doing well based on my research. I can maybe come up with a schedule or however you want to do it. But then also use some of this data to let you easily see what's currently working well in your account and just do more of that. It kind of gives you that insight all in one shot. And then pretty soon I'm going to have that for the sponsored brands. That's what I'm working on right now. You see there broken out by the various, landing page, product lists. You got your videos, and then your ASIN style display. And then you get your combined. So it's the exact same process that we've got for sponsored products. I'm doing that for the other two here soon. So does that make sense, Fabian, as far as the difference there?
Yes, thank you, Brett. Yeah.
Cool. Can you change the
What
top?
is the?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what is the monitor ASIN for then on the bid override table?
That just doesn't change the bids. So what you can do there is, some people want to know in my single ASIN, I set up all my campaigns with just one ASIN in it. So if I ever want to know, which ASIN is doing the best and performing the best as far as metric wise, you could just toggle that to monitor. But say I don't want to actually set my bid settings and govern my bids based at the ASIN level, I can still see that data kind of all in one place. Does that make sense? And I'll likely do that for some of the other overrides. I was just kind of testing it, but I think it's pretty nice to be able to do that. Some people will use the portfolios too to like totally customize the way they have their account set up. Some people have the same portfolio used in products, brands, display, and just use portfolios on this. I've seen that quite a bit. But some others just want to be able to monitor certain slices of the data, and that's a way to kind of do that. Can you change the top of search or product page from the bid? Yes, it will. But Ben told me this morning that there is an issue, so I need to fix that. Basically, what you do is you change it, anything that's underlined. So you got campaign budget, you've got your modifiers, you change those. And then before you create your final output file, you need to come up here and click this button and then this button, depending on which one you want to actually change in your bulk file. And obviously it's only set up right now for sponsored products. So I do need to work on this a little bit more in order to monitor like campaign budgets in brands and display. I'll have to think through that a little bit. Right now, it was only set up for sponsored products though. But you can just, until that's kind of fine tuned, you can just as easily obviously go to your bulk file and then use the filters. You got your placement filters here. And then you can change these values if you want, or your campaign budget, which is right here. That script will just automate that and populate that based on the inputs. All right, who else has some questions? Those are all the ones in the chat. You guys can unmute yourself if you have some other questions. Nobody? Edward?
Hey, Brett, how's it going?
What's up, man? Is this Frank?
Yeah, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Yes, all good. Like I think like I've seen some of the thing we're discussing last week are in green. Like, so is something's been done in this version or? So it's like I've seen that the bug probably has been, I need to double check if there's been fixed for the naming.
So yeah, this is the bug tracker and feature tracker.
Mm-hmm.
Green means that it's kind of my next on deck.
Yep.
gray means it's already been added. So
Yeah.
any of these will be in the new version. I'll post later today. Blue
Yeah.
means they're good
It's
ideas,
next.
but
Yeah.
it's kind of on deck. And then yellow
Mhm.
means I am not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Everything that's involved in that question, but
Mhm.
I have some questions on it. So yeah, that's what that means.
So yeah, the custom downX field is still like in progress, and then I think we were discussing like about like I think probably you touched through this session was the because we say like the for my case is like you need to download the file, see like trying to rename and find a way to do the naming, like to quickly change the categorization and everything. So
Yeah. So Frank's
was
got
like something, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Frank's got a situation where
Yeah.
he wants to be able to use the custom naming tool in the bulk campaign here that we showed, kind of that swaps out the different fields. But we're gonna add in a column here that allows you to add in like a concatenated string that instead of this field, this custom to just being a fixed value, it'll be dynamic and it'll be able to pull in that custom string in your campaign or ad group name. So yeah, I'm gonna Frank, I'm gonna probably get to that. Hopefully start on it this week. That's a little bit of a challenge, but it's not gonna
Yep.
be something impossible. So we'll get working on that one though.
Yeah, no, cool. Thanks.
Did you have any other questions?
But in the meantime, if you wanna do some, manual naming, yes, like until the feature is ready, is the something we can do with this new version, or
It's not any different than now. If you were pretty slick, you could potentially have a formula that you put horizontal that used, you can use any of the data in the columns to create a custom name, and just you can override any of this before you update or create the output file, and it'll actually generate the campaigns. But in your scenario, it's probably going to be best to
wait.
unfortunately. But I can try to prioritize that. I know that's actually a pretty slick feature too, so there's some advantage to getting that in place.
Yeah, and there's like, I think during our chat we're talking about like a way to download and then like select the if from the category, from the dynamic like naming, then sort of select and change those naming.
Yeah, the way I see it working is you're probably going to have something that's a little more custom on your end in order to create the concatenated field. But as soon as you have an ASIN or SKU column along with the concatenated field, then you'll be able to use this new feature where you can just very easily come down and be like, all right, I've got my SKUs here. This table here right now allows you to add in any ASIN that is not currently being advertised, and you can create a nickname for it. That nickname field shows up here. So this is some additional fields that show up, but some people don't know what products they have, so that's what that's for. But anyway, that's where you'll put that, and then it'll basically just take the place of this fixed custom to field. So, but yeah, I'll keep you updated on that, man, and we'll try to kick that to the top of the list. I think that's something we can make happen. Cool. All right, Edward, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a not very related question. I was just wondering, like, with all of this, do you have a plan of to put all of this in the software interface?
I don't have the deep pockets like these SaaS tool guys have. So my next thing is to build an Excel version of this that any of the big brands can manage. My niche is I can undercut any of these guys because I don't have any overhead. So it's the Excel version though will be able to handle whatever, 500,000 rows. The limitation I have now with Google Sheets is just the performance on the bigger brands. But I mean, if some SaaS tool wants to come around and buy it, that might be an option. But I don't have any plans right now of hiring anybody to build anything in that SaaS.
Right. Yeah. It would take quite a few guys working full time to build this thing up. And yeah.
Yeah, and I see it as a bit of a niche right now, and I'm trying to kind of dial in a really good mock-up that would potentially be worth duplicating in some form or fashion. But until I got to that point where I was really happy with it, I wouldn't go down that route.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
The Excel version though will be very powerful. There's a lot more you can do with that, and I am hiring some guys to do that because that's kind of my wheelhouse where I can at least act like I know what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
cool. Simon, you got anything? Martin?
Nothing from me. Still new to
Yeah.
AdTactix.
I'm okay for now. I think that questions will come with time for sure.
Good deal. Well, it's 6. We did pretty good on time. Let me see if there's anything else. I talked about the Excel splitter tool. That's something we're working on right now. For if anybody's got, I can't remember, Martin, if you had a really some users have just massive files that, like I said, the Google Sheets can't handle. But with the splitter tool, you can get Excel to dump in your big bulk file, hit a couple buttons. You can actually organize it by ASIN if you want to split out the files by ASINs, and then it'll split a file into say 4 parts.
But which exactly file do you mean? The
So the file,
bulk
the file that's
or...
the bulk file that you download from Amazon that's got your products, brands, display sheet in it. Most users right now that are using this tool has anywhere from 30 to 60,000 rows on like a 7-figure brand. If they're running a bunch of single keyword campaigns, that can go up quite a bit. But I am working to try to support those type of things as quickly as possible. If you've got an account like that, it's kind of the point I wanted to make. As far as the next features that I'm working on, the campaign placement updates, that's a bug that's pretty important I fix. There is some formatting issues that are pretty easy fixes. You can see like the click-through rate has like a shit ton of decimals. I don't know what's going on there, but it's not really impacting anything. It's just weird. The keyword migration for existing campaigns, that's that, and along with what Frank was talking about, we've got some work to do on the bulk campaign builder. All the stuff I went over today though should be functional and you can create campaigns with. And that's kind of the next plan of attack. But you can always again plug into this and see what we're working on and add your own there. It's good if you can put more details, or even if you can make a loom, that's super helpful. And you have access to all the test files as well. So those test files are on the settings tab down here at the bottom, test files. So I know some people don't like to show kind of their account information, but you can download those and then import it in and kind of learn how to use the tool. And then if you want to have future updates, you can always send me a loom or something like that in there. All right. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys being on the first one. Feel free if you want to hop on any of the other ones today. I'll probably cover some additional stuff on those, but it will be some of the same stuff as well. So, but if not, if you guys want to show up next week at the same time, I will be here. So just kind of update everybody on the progress, and if you guys think of anything else, and just kind of work together as a team to build it out. I see this probably lasting a month or two, honestly. We're focused on this tool right now 100%, so you'll see us make some pretty good traction based on everybody's input. So that's the thing, if you want your input in the tool, make sure you use it and try to give us good feedback, and we'll try to make it happen. All right.
Thanks, Brett.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good Q4.
Thanks,
You too.
You
guys.
too, guys.
Thanks, Brett.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.